Good evening, everybody. Welcome to One Hub Racing for the third race of 4 tonight. Prospect tier has just finished, podium is currently underway, but it's time for round 7 out of 10 in the precision tier here in season 16. It is the Canadian Grand Prix around the famous Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Who will take a victory tonight, and can we see anyone take a big step towards securing the Drivers' Championship title? My name is Luke, alongside me is Prospect tier driver Indecisive Mac, better known as Matt. And you were saying before, this is one of your favourite circuits, and there has been some classic real-life F1 races around here, some classic one-hub races as well. Hopefully we'll get another tonight.
Yeah, I'm more than confident that we will, especially with the title picture the way it sits now. There's definitely no reason why we shouldn't. Weather can always change a race too and make it even better. But yeah, this is definitely one of my top 2 tracks, so brilliant to be here as always, and thanks for having me again.
Yeah, pleasure to have you alongside me. Hopefully, as we said, we'll get some good action to go over. I enjoy this track as well. Quite a challenging circuit in some ways. Sort of very street circuit-like around the Ile Notre Dame on the St. Lawrence River. Lots of tight corners, lots of high-speed sections, so braking very important around here. You need a lot of stability at lower speeds. And talking to some of the drivers, they were sort of indifferent about this track, if we're being honest. Like, some said Janil's not the biggest fan, Scopefielder said it's alright, Dainstar says he likes the chicanes. No one was really, ooh, I love this place, or, ooh, I'd rather not drive around here.
Well, then we need to have words with them. What's wrong with them? This is a fantastic circuit to race on. I think they're just downplaying it, really. At the end of the race, I'll be like, yep, I love it here.
Yeah, definitely. I love it as well, so hopefully, as we said, we'll get some fantastic action. If you weren't with us last time out for our trip just across the border well, quite a long way across the border, I suppose, in the south of the USA, Texas, for the Circuit of the Americas, it was Janil who took his first victory of the season, the 5th winner in 6 races so far, extending his championship lead there. Now up to 12 points ahead of Ollie, who finished in 2nd place, and it was Jimbo Manzi who took his 2nd podium of the season, finishing in 3rd. What that means for the Drivers' Championship is that Janil is now on 107 points. As I mentioned, 12 ahead of Ollie Flavel. Dainstar and Scopefielder both on 76 points. Dainstar ahead by the virtue of having 2 victories to Scopefielder's 1. Jimbo Manzi 5th on 52 points. The rest of the race premium drivers, you've got Khalifa 6th on 49. J-Luke is 9th on 24. Vahanen had his best finish last time out, 10th on 24. Kian has 23. Lukey 22. Jonas Ulbricht 9. Ivan 3. Sam and Lawrence on no points. Realistically then, with looking at the gaps on the top, 31 points separating the top 4. Jimbo a further 24 points back. It's going to take something special for the winner to be outside of that top 4 at the moment, and you've got to say, unless Dainstar and Scopefielder beat Janil tonight, it's going to be difficult for the pair of them as well.
Yeah, you can all signs definitely point towards that, but Jimbo Manzi was one of the drivers in the press conference this week. Last week, 2nd podium. He's getting a taste for it apparently, so what goes for the rest of the season? And he answered, yeah, he's enjoyed both his podiums. He wasn't expecting one at Monaco or Kota, as they're so far off being his strongest tracks. He didn't miss Zandvoort, but his aim for the season is he wants a few more podiums. If he gets his strategy right, maybe a win. Silverstone's the last of the tracks he's strong at. And they've got some good momentum in the constructors. Who knows, maybe we could fight with Mercedes for the championship. And I'll be doing my best to support Dainstar in maximising his points to help him fight for the Drivers' World Championship as well.
Now that's a very interesting final point, and I was thinking about this earlier on. Like, as I said, Jimbo Manzi could still mathematically win the Drivers' Championship. Loads of drivers could, but 55 points behind, 4 races remaining, it's going to be a challenge. Interestingly, that he is thinking about obviously supporting his teammate. As we said, Dainstar probably going to need that support at the moment, and now that Khalifa's had a couple of bad races, he's going to drop into that support role as well. And last time out, actually, that they raced at Canada, which was last season, Janil took the victory. Khalifa got 2nd place in the precision tier last year, so that could be very interesting indeed. If it finishes like that, you've got to say that puts Janil in a fantastic spot and would put Mercedes in a fantastic spot to secure the Constructors' Championship. They're currently 28 points ahead of Red Bull. AlphaTauri a further 27 points behind. McLaren only 6 points behind AlphaTauri at the moment. It's not going to be too long then before we find out who's going to be qualifying on pole here. 18 minutes of qualifying and then a 35 lap race. And as you found out earlier, Matt, rain's always a factor around this circuit.
Yeah, it's... Well, I actually kind of asked for rain, so yeah, I was confident either way, but mixed conditions race is probably the best result that I could have asked for. We had a little battle with my teammate at the end, so yeah, I was happy with that, but I'm kind of hoping that we get a mixed conditions here as well, see how the drivers in this tier can handle it. But either way, it's going to be a fantastic race, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm sure all you guys are as well. Interestingly, we just had a tweet off Stixel, who was nominated for the Driver of the Day last time out, and said he's one of the slowest drivers. Well, he thinks he's one of the slowest drivers in the tier, despite being 8th in the championship. He always aims to stay within DRS range, he said in the Driver of the Day press conference. He said it's amazing how much time you can gain by adjusting your cam settings, so could be interesting if we see him push his way further up. As I mentioned earlier, Verheyen had his best finish of the season last time out. Ollie M2000, who I actually don't believe is here tonight, he's shown some fantastic pace lately. There's definitely a few drivers who aren't going to be battling for this championship, but could still have a say in it. Like we mentioned, Jimbo Manzi, we mentioned him earlier. He's showing some fantastic performance. Khalifa Khan on occasion. Verheyen having his best finish. Maybe Schnicks will show some form. And I know they're not here tonight, but Mr. Simp and Ollie. Simp's won a race. Ollie M2000 probably should have won a race by now. Still some very quick drivers, and that is why this tier is so good. It is always so close.
Yeah, definitely. And you could also say that Luke is definitely on an upturn of form as well. He's suddenly sprung up to 22 points. It wasn't that long ago he barely got any points, so he could throw a spanner in the works as well and really be up there in the fight today.
Yeah, most definitely.
See cars going out.
Yeah, we have got a few cars going out then. Jonas Ulbricht, he always seems to be one of the first to like heading his way around on circuit. Managed to secure, well actually no, finished just outside the points last time out in 30th place. He's currently on 9 points for the Alfa Romeo team, so this could be a very good qualifying session. Dainstar's gone out on the medium tyres, as has Sam and AJ. Quite a lot of drivers actually heading out on circuit. Makes me wonder if the sky didn't look so cloudless at the moment, I'd almost be thinking there was some rain on the way with how quickly everyone seems to be heading out onto circuit. But we'll see how they can do then for a lap around the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, first used in 1978 then, and it was Gilles Villeneuve who took the victory, heading down the pit straight now towards turn 1. And then quickly followed by turn 2. This is a tricky part of the circuit. Mentioned that an action zone by one of the stewards, just for the way that pit lane exit feeds onto the track. Then you've got quite a high speed chicane, the Vettel chicane, I'm sure this will be known as in years in the future, through 3 and 4 there. And I think Jonas got very close to the wall there. And yeah, he has actually wiped off a bit of his front wing, coming through that chicane then at 6 and 7. DRS open. One of 3 DRS zones on this circuit, heading into the chicane at 8 and 9. Need to be careful not to cut the inside there. Could easily invalidate your lap. Now the slowest corner on the track. You might see a few late overtakes here in the race as we go through turn 10. Some drivers prefer to take a wider apex there to get the best possible straight line. Through turns 11 and 12, DRS open once again along the back straight, where you will expect to see most of the overtaking opportunities, and you'll want to get it done before the final chicane, because there is that wall of champions which Jonas scrapes his way along as he heads down towards the finish line. 109.731. Pole position in podium earlier on today was a 108.3, so I'd expect us to maybe get a time in the 107s around here to be a good time. Anything in the mid 107s could secure pole position, as Janel goes fastest at the moment with a 108.653.
Yeah, I was thinking mid to low 7s as well would be a decent time, 7.8, 7.5, somewhere around that region. Khalifa's about to start his first flying lap of the day. He's coming around the final corner and past the wall of champions now to start his lap.
Yeah, always need to be careful with that wall of champions. It has claimed many, many victims over the years in real life and on the game as well. I know I've had a few races end there. Khalifa is one of our race premium drivers. If you go through race premium, don't have to pay a race entry, well, the season entry fee, and you get a few other perks as well. And I must have missed Mr. Simp's name earlier, but that is an absolutely fantastic lap time, which makes sure I'm not going to miss it now. 108.017. This early on in the session, 4 tenths faster than his teammate, and AlphaTauri 1-2. And that was something very interesting, speaking of his teammate Schofield, that I noticed in the interviews, just to get a bit of an idea of the psyche of some of these drivers. Schofield said, well, I've been involved in a few incidents. If it wasn't for that, I'd be in the championship fight. Whereas Danestar, who is tied on points with Schofield, still sounds as though he believes he's got a chance of winning the championship. Maybe just because Danestar probably has a bit more outright pace. He has won 2 races this season, and no one else has done that. But it is really, it's time for those two to really show their performances. If Janil beats the pair of them tonight, they're probably squabbling for 3rd at best.
Talking of 3rd at best, well, Khalifa's just gone 3rd with his 108.5 time. And the Mercedes are having a bright qualifying session, which brings me to their team press conferences. The Mercedes team boss was asked, is he worried about the drivers making practice starts at the right places on the track? And they replied, no, all the drivers are experienced and are all aware of the procedures. We expect no issues. McLaren are also called in, and looking forward to fit that Mercedes engine in the car. You're still struggling in most tiers. To which they replied, yeah, that will be enjoyable to see, but that is a few seasons away yet, so we need to end strong with our current partners. This season has not been the best, but there is room to change, so let's see what happens.
I mean, yeah, McLaren, they've had a good performance in this tier, 4th in the championship at the moment. That's all down to Ollie Flavel, who's 2nd in the drivers. He's got all their points so far. In Prospect, they're currently 9th. In Podium, they're currently 10th. And I believe they're 9th in Pinnacle as well. So maybe they are waiting until, I believe it'll be season 19, when they get the Mercedes engines on the F1 2021 game. But after most of the drivers have set their first laps, it's Mr. Simp fastest at the moment with a 108.017. Schofield is 2nd, so an AlphaTauri 1-2, and Mercedes 3-4, but not in the order that you would have expected. And it would almost be a Red Bull, well, it would have been a 5-6 if AJ wasn't in the way, as Lukey goes up into 4th position with a 108.646. Very good lap from him. Says it's a challenging lap, says challenging track, says a top 10 would be his aim. You mentioned this earlier, he's starting to show a bit more pace, and as he said, he doesn't think he's been involved in an accident around here. It's very easy with all these heavy braking zones and close walls around Canada to get involved in an accident, so keeping it clean could get some drivers good results, and we might see some unexpected people finishing high up on the podium. We'll have to wait and see.
Yes, very much so, but there's also corner quiet penalties as well as the heavy braking zones. You can just attack the curves, but not really, because if you take a line like Rimpe has just done, that's a really good line through that corner, but again, if you try it a little bit more to the right, then you get invalidated, and in the race, those warnings will accumulate penalties, and I was overtaken on the last lap at the line because I had 1 2-minute penalties, and so, you know, it's never really over.
Yeah, Ollie Flavel has just invalidated there, so that's bad news for him. Jonas, very good time from him so far. Green in the 1st and 2nd sectors. If you want a bit more insight into how the drivers are doing, you can use the telemetry assist system, or TAS in the chat. Jess has kindly put the help function in there, so exclamation help, and you find out all the functions, which will differ slightly between qualifying and the race. We'll see how Jonas does as he comes across the line. Very good lap from him, moves his way up into 7th place. So Alfa Romeo looking pretty good at the moment. Compulsory 2-stop as always here at One Hub, and to be honest, this is one of the tracks where even without that rule, you'd probably think about 2-stop just because of the way the pit lane works out. The stewards have said watch out for the pit entry, because those who are entering the pits brake far later than those who are going into the normal track, so the drivers need to be careful. And because the pit entry pit exit skips corner 1 and puts you out around the outside of turn 2, the 2-stop could work in normal conditions, so the drivers should be used to it a bit more around here than they are around some other tracks.
Yeah, of course it's not out of the question you can put a 3-stop out, because I tried it earlier, I was thinking about it, and it turned out to be 1 second slower than a 2-stop, so if you can maximise your grip and speed, then maybe you can get more points with a 3, so that's always a possibility as well. But mandatory 2, of course. But doesn't mean you have to do 2, you have to do at least 2.
Yes, and if we do get rain, like we saw in Prospect, who knows how many you could have to do. Jenson Button did 6 around here and still managed to take the victory. Looks like a very good lap so far from Jimbo Manzi, though. Purple in Sector 1, personal best in Sector 2. His teammate giving him a nice tow down the DRS straight in between turns 7 and 8. Expect a lot of DRS trains around this circuit. Schnitzel, who's currently 14th, said he's going to try and rely on them to A, help him keep clean, and then B, obviously keep in touch with those in front. We'll see what Jimbo Manzi can do at the moment in the Red Bull. Can he become the first driver to get into the 107s? No, personal best in the second sector, but and third sector, people are starting to get closer to Mr. Sim at the moment. 108.236 puts him 2 tenths behind the AlphaTauri at the moment, who had invalidated his last run, but I think he's heading out now to set another lap time. Great first lap, you've got to say, from Mr. Sim. He seems to like these tighter circuits where the walls are right next to you. He took a victory at Monaco. On pole position now, you've got to wonder if he'd been able to attend all the races and hadn't had maybe that bad luck in Austria where he disconnected from the lead of the race. He could have definitely been a person who could have challenged for this championship.
Yeah, he more than likely would have been up there, as you say. He seems to find another gear around these tight, twisty tracks where the walls are like next to your car. But I'm just watching the Hannon, who hasn't actually set a lap yet, but he is on a good lap now. Purple Sector 2 apparently, so that's how good that one is. But we'll see if that leads to provisional pole in a few moments, as he's coming down the final straight with the DRS wide open, and Jimbo Manzi gets lovely out of the way there as he approaches the final chicane onto the brakes. Pretty much perfect there, touches the curb on the outside, and he's another one that goes to the left of the track, and that only puts him P15. Must have lost some time there that I didn't see, but seemed like a better lap time than he actually managed there.
Yeah, Mr. Sim had gone purple in Sector 1, invalidated his lap. Schofielder had gone purple in Sector 1, green in Sector 2, but Khalifa has now gone purple in Sector 1, so they're all starting to improve here. Can Schofielder knock his teammate off provisional pole position then? No, but not too far behind, closer than anyone's got so far with a 108.1. Khalifa, he heads towards the finish line. 108.054. This is getting very close all of a sudden. At the top of the timing chart, 6.5 minutes left. It's Mr. Sim, Khalifa, Schofielder, Jimbo Manzi, Dainstar, Lukey, championship leader Janil, only in 7th position at the moment, and he's got Khalifa just ahead of him. So that straight at turn 7, between turn 7 and 8, seems to be the slipstream straight at the moment, and Janil now purple in Sector 1, but just got caught out a bit too close to Khalifa there. You just saw him on board, a twitch of oversteer. That would have definitely cost him a bit of time, and again, he's not able to get ahead of his teammate. This isn't gone to plan for him. I think it's getting to the point now where Khalifa might be holding him up a bit more than helping him along, and yeah, not even a personal best in the second sector. Locks up into the hairpin. This might make things very interesting for the championship. Top 2 in the championship standards at the moment are only 7th and 10th. The drivers did get asked in the previous interviews, amongst other things, whether, like, how important they felt qualifying was around here. Some were saying because of the DRS trains, you need to qualify as high up as the grid as possible. Lukey, for example, though, he said it's easy to invalidate in qualifying around here, and we've seen that already, but it's also easy to overtake. I suppose it depends. Like Jimbo said, once DRS is enabled, it's harder to overtake. Maybe thinking about doing it into some different corners, like the final hairpin at turn 10, rather than just relying on DRS around this circuit, if you want to get some overtakes done, as Dainstar is improving at the moment. He's set 2 personal bests so far on this lap.
Well, yeah, of course, drivers used to be able to do old-fashioned overtakes without DRS back in the day. So, yeah, maybe pull out a page from their book and see what you can do, but definitely try and surprise your opponents into places they might not expect. But don't go for it just because you can. You have to think about it. You can't just dive down the inside of turn 5 because no one else does. There's probably a reason for that.
Yeah, it's getting very close all of a sudden at the top of the timing charts. Dainstar, another driver, into the 108.0s at the moment. Janil went into 6th with his lap. Ollie Flavel Last week said his qualifying isn't his strength. He's 7th, so he might be fairly happy with that. The strategy that we're expecting, standard 2 stops really, soft, medium, medium, soft, medium, soft if you're outside the top 10. Might be worth obviously starting on the mediums to be so quick towards the end of the race. So with 4 minutes to go, still Mr. Simp on top. No one, even himself, has been able to beat his initial run. He was 4 tenths up. It's a lot closer now, 37 thousandths of a second, and Danestar not too far behind either as he tries to rush to get back to the pits. This could be very interesting. This could be very interesting indeed, I think, this race. It looks like we've got a lot of close drivers at the moment. Let's see what J. Luke does through the first sector. His personal best, Sam, has gone up into 11th as well. And I feel it's appropriate to say congratulations to Lawrence, who's in 14th at the moment, who missed last week's race because he was becoming a dad. And I think his excuses go for missing races. You're not going to get a much better one than that.
Well, I suppose that's fair enough. Welcome back to the grid. We missed you the last week or so, but congratulations from us all. But it's interesting that the timing shows that General has the fastest sectors 1 and 3, but it's half a second slower than Mr. Simp in sector 2, and that has ultimately made the difference.
And I think that was just getting stuck behind his teammate in the dirty air. Last week in Austin, he had the fastest first and second sector, and by his own admission, bottled the final sector. Still good enough to get second place, and obviously ended up taking the victory thanks to the misfortunes of Ali M2000 as J. Luke goes up into 10th place. We've got our standard closest in qualifying, 12 drivers within 8 tenths of a second at the moment. The entire grid within 1.5 seconds. This is going to be fascinating. No points for pole position, of course. Same as F1, the point structure, apart from if you finish outside the top 10, all the drivers that finish outside the top 10 battle for their own fastest lap point, and whoever sets the fastest lap inside the top 10 gets the fastest lap point as well. So there's always motivation to try and carry on because you never quite know what could happen, and you can always manage to find a way to get yourself a point. Schnitzel has just invalidated AJ, who missed last week and did have a habit before last week of readying up too early. I think the only driver to do that last time was Ollie M2000, but it didn't affect his results. And AJ, personal best in sector 1 and 2, and you would expect that because he did set his early lap on the medium tyres, so this could be a very good lap from him. Oh, he just touched the grass there through turn 12. Not ideal whatsoever. Gets a bit of a slipstream off his teammate, but would like to have stayed off the grass ideally. It's not as grippy as the grey stuff, and you can see there, AJ comes into the pits and he's retired from the session. But 11th place might not be too shabby.
No, it definitely won't be, because then he gets first choice of fresh tyres at the start of the race, but he could well finish a lot lower than that as people are now out on track. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on what happens there, but we'll find someone that's on a lap, which could be his teammate who's on a lap. Just thought.
Yeah, very good. Very good first sector by his standards from Schnitzel. Schofield had actually gone purple in sector 1, but lost a bit of time in sector 2. Could still improve his way up to challenge his teammate and get on the front row here. It's so crowded up at the top of the timing charts. He does improve, but not enough in the end to improve his position, so that's probably qualifying over for him. Janel's invalidated his lap. Has he got enough ERS and fuel to set another lap, or will he be starting, while by his standards, way down in 6th place? Said he hoped to get a bit more confidence after last week's win, because racing is all about confidence. Seems to have lost a bit there. Let's see what Schnitzel can do. He was hoping for a better race this time around. Oh, and he very nearly became the first fatal victim in the Wall of Champions. Very close to losing his car completely. Lost half a second through that corner. He won't be any higher than 16th. You can see them all pushing and fighting as hard as they can, because invalidations are getting more and more common.
Yep, you can definitely see these guys are definitely pushing to try and get a little bit further up the grid to give them a slightly better race. As Sam retires in the pit lane, I believe there. Yeah, so he's done for the day. In qualifying, of course, he's got the race to come very shortly. Already commentated on the prospect tier race, so he should be well aware of what you could get from the back of the grid.
Yeah, you never know what could happen around this circuit. As we said, plenty of overtaking. We've had a very good time in the middle sector from Danestar. Then Schofield has retired from the session, so we know he won't be able to prove. Mr. Sim has invalidated his lap. Ollie Flavel has invalidated his lap. There's a lot of drivers struggling here. Lukey, he set a good time to get himself up into 8th, just ahead of his teammate. Absolutely perfect through the final couple of corners from Danestar. Can he take pole position? No, he can't. 3 thousandths of a second. And, well, we'll see what Khalifa's doing. He's improving. Can he take pole position? Yes, he can. 107.911. Only man into the 107s. I think, looking at everyone's lap times, I think he's going to be the only person in the 107s. Absolutely cracking lap by Khalifa to take pole position. Look how close Danestar got to being on the front row.
Yeah, that you can't get much closer than that as Vahanen, whatever, it's hard to say. He improves to 13th with a 108.8 there. So yeah, he'll probably be happy with his value have to improve, but not so happy he had to wait till the final lap of the session to do so. But that is pretty much the grid. So, well done, Khalifa. We talked about Mercedes at the start, and yeah, definitely right to do so.
Yeah, great lap from Khalifa. Jesser showing a bit of support for Khalifa in the chat, and I think he'll be happy. I think he'll be happy with that. I think he maybe needed a bit more confidence after the first 3 races went so well. He's only scored how many points? 7 points in the last 3. So his first pole position of the season. Mr. Simp alongside him in second. Danestar and Scopefielder, 3rd and 4th in the championship. 3rd and 4th in the grid. Jimbo Manzi is 5th. Championship leader Janil is 6th. Ollie Flavel 7th. Lukey 8th. Jonas Ulbricht 9th. J. Luke 10th. AJ in 11th. He set his fastest lap on the mediums, and he'll have 3 choice of tyres, as will the Reynolds of Sam and Verheyen. Kian on Lawrence, 2 Ferraris in 14th and 15th. Calvin is 16th. Schnitzel 17th. And Rimpe 18th and last position. Gotta say, this is going to be a very interesting qualifying session. Well, it was an interesting qualifying session. Going to be an interesting race. Mr. Simp showed a lot of pace straight on. 4 attempts faster than anyone else, but wasn't able to improve. So maybe he's got to just dial it back a bit to ensure he doesn't got a lot of penalties. Because if there's a late safety car, a large amount of penalties will just drop you, possibly even out of the points.
Yeah, of course, it's a very good strategy to have. Keep it as clean as you can. Yeah, you may sacrifice a 10th or 2 here or there, but if the guy in front of you has like 15, 18 seconds of penalties, that really won't matter much, especially if there's a late safety car, or a safety car at any point definitely can help your race there. But while we have a quick moment, we'd like to take this time to thank our sponsors, as we do every week, because without them, we wouldn't have as much of a league without them. So thank you to Liam 13, who you can follow on Facebook gaming/Liam13, and the other sponsor is Next Level Racing, who are donating a wheel stand to the winner of the Going Gets Tough award.
Yeah, if you're not aware what the Going Gets Tough award is, it's to reward those who just keep plugging away every single week and don't normally get rewarded. So to be eligible for that, you've got to finish outside of the top 3 in your respective tier and attend all the interviews that you are chosen to attend. I think we're down to only about 10 or 11 drivers across all the tiers that are eligible for that. So it's getting very close. Let's say in that, it's very close in qualifying here, and it is going to be a very close race as well. I can guarantee you that. Let's see who's going to take the victory here. We do have 2 former winners around this circuit then on this grid. Janil, who took it last season. Danestar has also won around here. Are we going to get a new victor this time around, or do you think it'll be one of those who ends up winning here tonight in 35 laps time?
I'd love to see a new winner on the history boards and the record books, but you can't put your money past anyone else at this time with the current form. But I would love to see Khalifa win a race. I think he's been more than good enough on several occasions to try that, but he's just been unlucky the last couple of races. Was a very early candidate in the top 5 or 6 for driver standings, but he slipped down to 6th place now, so he's got a bit of a gap to bring up, but if he can win here, he's right back in it.
Yeah, definitely. It's probably going to be a bit too late now unless his teammate starts having some severe misfortune. And starting in 6th place, a bad start for John Hill could put him right into that midfield pack, and we've seen incidents happen before. I do definitely think if Khalifa does take a victory, it might be a bit of a to whom it may concern moment after the last few races that Khalifa has had. You can see the alternate strategies that people are going for Sam in 12th, and everyone down from Kian starting on the mediums. AJ and Vahanen outside of the top 10 have gone to start on the set of new soft tyres, and obviously we knew what the top 10 were on. So getting ready then for this qualifying session, as the two Renaults seem to have come together on the formation lap. Oh dear, I think is all we can pretty much say about that. But Khalifa, pole position, Mr. Simp in second position, Danestar third, Schofielder fourth. They know they've got to take advantage of the fact that Janil and Ollie are starting 6th and 7th respectively. Will we see any safety cars? It doesn't look like rain is going to be a concern, but we all know how quickly it can change on this game, as we just see Danestar taking his 3rd position slot on the grid. Rimpe rounded out the 18 cars on the grid. He's hoping for a better performance this week out after getting involved in a few incidents last time around. And as we wait for the lights to come on here then at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, who's going to take victory in round 7 here at One Hub? We're going to find out soon as the lights go out and we are racing here in Montreal, and it's an absolutely superb start from Khalifa from 1st position, nailing it into turn 1. Nearly a bit of contact there between Mr. Simp and Danestar. Schofield is still in the same position, so it all looks like there's been no change between the top 4 drivers at the moment, as the timing column does what the timing column so often does. But Khalifa leading, Mr. Simp 2nd, Danestar is 3rd, Schofielder in 4th position at this moment in time. Very good start of the race by Janil, as we just see the position changes. He's gone up a place ahead of Jimbo Manzi. AJ up 2 places, taking full advantage of them fresh soft tyres. Perfect start, you've got to say so far from the Mercedes. It doesn't matter where they were doing their practice starts, wherever they were doing them, it's clearly worked for them.
Yeah, it definitely has. I think you're going to get a lot more sort of straight line speed on this track than you would others, but you still need rear end stability as well, otherwise you're going to be racing the other way. So it's definitely working for them in the early stages, but a long way to go. 34 laps in fact, so stay here because this is a great view.
Yeah, we've just got a screen there showing the strategy, so that 2-stop, soft, medium, medium, I think we will be seeing, as obviously Khalifa setting the fastest lap of the race at the moment. The drivers were asked, interestingly, whether they thought this was more of a wheel track than a pad track, and it didn't seem like anyone was willing to entertain that debate, and I can't say I blame them, because that's opening a whole can of worms, as Lukey's just ran ever so slightly wide there through turn 4, and that's going to give Ollie the inside line for turn 6. Can he get down the inside? There's a bit of squeezing, a bit of contact. Ollie ends up losing a lot of momentum, but he's got AJ right behind him as Jonas Ulbricht has come off worse. I think maybe, well, looks like he's got no damage that I can see. He's down in 17th place as Kian. Did he have a pit stop on that first lap? Indeed he did, and he's put the medium tyres on. So Jonas 17th, Kian, obviously, whether that was strategical or we got involved in some contact, I'd imagine it was some contact, as Mr. Simps managed to find his way past Khalifa, and they're side by side heading towards the final chicane here. Mr. Simps got the inside line though, and he's able to get ahead before the braking zone. Alpha Tauri into the lead of the race, and these two have already got a 1-second gap above Danestar. That will be crucial as DRS is now active, and Jimbo Manzi pitting early on as well.
Yeah, broken wing for Jimbo Manzi just there, so that's going to drop him right to the back, but it's a long race and there could be a safety car in about 20 seconds, so could be a great time to pit, but we'll see. As Ollie Flavel down in up into P6 there just seems to have overtaken Lukey, but it's a strange position to try and overtake, as we alluded to earlier, but he's going to try and get him back.
Sorry to interrupt there, it looks like J-Luke's having a go at AJ. That's sort of forced AJ wide, and now Vahanen's having a go. I think Ollie's overtakes just sort of caused a concertina effect down the grid, and now there's all sorts of battling happen. Vahanen down the inside of J-Luke. J-Luke having to skip over the chicane, and he spun round, and he's broke his front wing, and that's a safety car.
Yeah, there you go. Just said it. Just said it. Sean called something right for the 2nd time this season. You're welcome. Anyway, yeah, Lawrence was about to tee up a move on AJ, but then the Renault just got sideways and hit a wall, so that ruined any momentum he had. But if you're on softs, you'll probably want to jump now into the pit lane to put on the medium tyres. Yeah,
I think so. Sam damaged his front wing in that. We saw J-Luke, who already had damaged front wing. He's coming as well. Janel's got a 5-second penalty for a severe collision with Scopefielder. And will he have to serve that in his pit stop? The Scopefield has actually been held up, and of course he'll have to serve it in his pit stop. They've got another pit stop to do, so it's not like they can get it removed. That is a nightmare for Janil. Scopefielder will have one as well. AJ staying out on his fresh medium tyres. I think pretty much, well, everyone else pretty much, it looks like, has come into the pits, apart from Lawrence, Rimpe, and Kelvin. So that's who's stopped at the moment. Khalifa back ahead of Mr. Simp in all that pit stop chaos, it seems. Danestar third. Ollie Flavel's got himself up into a net fourth position. I think, obviously, Janil and Scopefielder, A, they had the collision, and B, they were the second of their team to come into the pits, and we know what this game's like with double stacking. It just doesn't work.
No, unfortunately it doesn't for those, but that's a problem to deal with later for them. Right now they've got to get their head down and keep going forwards, and occasionally left or right, otherwise just go straight onto a wall. But anyway, it's good to see Lawrence running in second place right now, who started on the mediums.
Yeah, this could work out very well. If there's a safety car later on, we saw in Austria, 2 virtual safety cars really changed the way that race turned out, because in the end the second one helping Danestar get a victory, which didn't look too likely. It looked more like we were going to see one of the Mercedes, probably Janel, end up taking the victory there before that second VSC. So very interesting indeed. Now AJ, well, was in the lead. He's coming to the pits as well, I think. Just decided, not sure whether he's actually had any damage because he was on fresher soft tyres, or just thinks right now's the time to get rid of them. We've also seen Calvin coming as well. So Lawrence leading a race. He's had no points this season, so with greatest respect, I think it's going to be tough for him to stay there. Sam looks as though he's into the pits for the second time, because I know he had big front wing on his, well, big front wing damage, so I'm fairly sure he'd have pitted last time around. He's putting the hard tyres on. Surely Sam's not going to try to go to the end here, just because of the short pit lane. You do a 2-stop normally. Surely is it going to be rained at the end? Is this a different strategy that he's trying? Again, he's had no points this season, so maybe just worth trying something different. But I can't imagine that being the fastest way round to do 31 laps on these hard tyres.
It's definitely different, alright, but he's definitely stopped twice now, so he doesn't have to stop again, of course, but I'm pretty sure he possibly will if there's another safety car later on. Put on the softs, go for fastest lap outside the top 10, or possibly get some serious points later on the race, because you never know what's going to happen. As we alluded to earlier, someone was in the pits and we said there could be a safety car. Oh, talking of which, it's in this lap, so now Lawrence is going to get himself in preparation to restart the race, as see the safety car just drive off into the distance, and Lawrence takes a steady pace now.
So Lawrence on the medium tyres, as is pretty much the entire field, apart from Kelvin and Sam. His and Rimpe's are slightly older, so they might take a bit more heating up, and you're seeing this aggressive weaving. When is Lawrence going to go for it? When through this chicane will he put the hammer down and get this race back underway? There you go, just on the exit. He has gone. Rimpe's sort of gone with him, and Khalifa's definitely gone with the racing point. So we're back to green flag again here on lap 6 of round 7. Rimpe's gone slightly deep into turn 1. Can Khalifa go all the way around the outside? I think Mr. Simp, don't know if we had a tap there from Danestar, or we just got that completely wrong, because that has allowed Ollie Flavel and Danestar to get ahead of Mr. Simp. So not an ideal restart from the Alpha Tauri driver. Although in the end it seems to have worked out well for Lawrence, because Rimpe going deep. He stays in the lead. Rimpe second. Khalifa is third. Danestar gaining up to 4th. Ollie Flavel 5th. Mr. Sim in 6th position. And looks like, apart from that little tap maybe on the back of Mr. Sim, that's what it's looked like to me. I could be wrong, and apologies to Danestar or Ollie if that is the case. Looks like everyone's got through pretty cleanly, as Khalifa, is he going to go down the inside into turn 10? That's a bit of a late move. Rimpe's left him space. Now it's just going to be a straight drag race. Mercedes engine versus Mercedes engine. And Khalifa just dropping back behind to get a bit of a slipstream. Now he's going to try and have a go and try and ensure he's got that inside line into the chicane. Hopefully Rimpe gives him space, otherwise this could be a crash. And yeah, Khalifa up into second place. That's compromised the racing point. He's now going to have Danestar all over the back of him and moving ahead.
Yeah, it could have been very much a different outcome there with a little bit more contact between Ollie and Rimpe there, but it's wheel banging side by side, but that could have been very, very disastrous for any of those drivers there with a little bit less awareness, so risky to go for the overtake on the inside of the chicane, but Lawrence with a 3-second penalty there. Yeah, it's definitely heating up this one.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually the second penalty. Oh, Mr. Simp's in the wall. Mr. Simp in the wall. Thankfully, he has ghosted. Thankfully, that hasn't caused a virtual safety car, but he's got big front wing damage. He'll be coming into the pits as he's pretty much down in last place. Oh, no, Lawrence is out.
Lawrence. Oh, no.
Lawrence is out. Where has he got it wrong on the exit of turn 9?
Yeah. That's sad.
Now we've got another drag race here, Khalifa and Danestar. This time Danestar, the Red Bull, always backed out ever so slightly there. So let Khalifa stay ahead. There'll be DRS this time around. Such a shame for Lawrence. He got 6 seconds of penalties already, so you could tell he was pushing hard and clearly just pushed a bit too hard there. So Khalifa leading, Danestar second, Ollie Flavel third, Verheyen now trying to go around the outside of Rimpe. That didn't work for Ollie Flavel last time around. Is it going to work for Verheyen? He's going to have to go all the way around the outside at turn 4. It's definitely possible. He's got the move done. Verheyen into 4th position. Again, having a really good race. It just seems to be penalties what are costing him, as now Janil sends one down the inside of Luki.
Yep, and a little earlier, Danestar had to back out of it because there was yellow flags in that sector, so you're not really allowed to overtake there. So that's probably why he backed out, and that's very well. I don't know what he's doing with that line through there, but Rimpe's missed the chicane. Now he's going to be down into P9 maybe if Jimbo Manzi can get him before the hairpin.
Well, Schofield has given it a go and almost alongside, so again it's going to be another drag race. They seem to love going for it in that hairpin. They don't fancy waiting for the DRS train, probably, because like I said, it is a train. He's got fantastic pace though in that racing point, taps the back of Janil. That could very easily, in real life, that'd probably cause a puncture and a broken front wing and all manner of chaos. But Rimpe seems to be struggling at this moment in time. Schofield has got a fantastic run on him then, and we'll get down the inside into turn 1. Is he able to do it on the brakes? Yes, he is. So Schofield are up into 7th place. And them yellow flags really seem to have cost Danestar, because that's the closest he got was just before that yellow flag zone. Half a second between him and Khalifa, half a second between Danestar and Ollie Flavel. Verheyen 2 seconds back.
Yeah, you definitely, sometimes you have a blessing of yellow flags, sometimes it's a curse. Unfortunately on this occasion for Danestar it was a curse, but Khalifa's having a sigh of relief there. He was able to keep the lead for another couple of laps.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll have to see when these guys come into the pits now. They've done 5 laps on these tyres. Only, this is, I think, the 4th one we've seen under racing conditions. So, round about lap 19, lap 20, I think they'll try and stretch these medium tyres to a Schnitzel getting ahead of Rimpe. It does seem that keeping on those medium tyres, the older ones, are really struggling. Rimpe's dropped from 2nd to 10th, and obviously Lawrence are only retirements so far in this race, as Verheyen said he maybe needs to keep it a bit cleaner. He's picked up a penalty there. Well, for a second I thought we might see an overtake in the background, or we might still. Jonas gets ahead of Rimpe, so that is the Alfa Romeo. Had that spin earlier, which dropped him down the order, recovering ever so slightly. He's now back into 10th place, just 1 place behind where he started. Kian and AJ are battling. We've seen a lot of this happening round the outside at turn 2. Can Kian get the move done? Yes, he can. Yellow flags in the background, and that is Sam, who has had a spin. Has he got any damage on his car? Yeah, he has. Big damage. Yes. Oh, he's out the race and in the middle of the track. Well, surely.
That could be a safety car again. I mean, he might not, because he's at the back and there's no one anywhere near him. You might just get by on yellows for that, but that is a big incident there. And our second retirement in very quick succession. Unfortunately, in the middle of the track. Yeah, I'm surprised that wasn't at least a VSC, but Mississippi got through there without any damage, and yellow flags. So that's again, Khalifa's gonna be vulnerable down here because the yellow flags are only in sector 1 and we're in sector 3 at the moment. As he comes out of the final corner, he seems to have a better run now, so he can keep the lead for another. Danestar's going back at him into turn 1. Can he make the move?
He's having to go down the inside here. Oh, there's been contact, and Danestar's on the grass, just about holds it. holds on to third position, but that could have easily ended up in the wall. Small contact with very nearly a big consequence there. So Danestar is now down to third, and I'm sure he won't be too happy about that there. It looks as if we've got to move down on the inside, and just a slight coming together, and that's all it takes on this game to sometimes send a car spinning off towards the barrier. So Ollie Flavel now up into second place with Janil in sixth. Ollie must be feeling pretty good at the moment, and he always seems to come good towards the end of a race.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Khalifa does, because as we alluded to in several occasions in the past, he loves his undercut. Is he going to try it despite being in the lead, or is he going to be more conservative and just react to people around him? But Ivahanen up to fourth now. He's having a great race today. Lukey in fifth. So this is fantastic stuff already. And there's a bit of a DRS train going on, down to anywhere from fourth to eighth. But Jimbo Manzi there is still on the back of this.
Yeah, he's just dropped out of DRS range as Jonas actually managed to get ahead of Schnitzel. I think coming out of turn 10, so through turn 11 and 12, I do wonder, did Schnitzel make a slight mistake? AJ getting ahead of Kian, so that is for Williams up into 30th position at the moment. Penalties for those at the front. I know it's very early days, but Verheyen, Lukey and Janil both have 3 seconds of penalties, and Janil has that 5 seconds to serve at his next pit stop, so that could be costly indeed. AJ's got a fantastic run here on Rimpe, not able to take advantage of it for now. And ever since there was that slight tap between Danestar and Verheyen, who's Verheyen nearly loses it in the dirty 8, that turn 8 and 9 chicane, it looks simple. When you're stuck behind another car, it is anything but.
Yeah, definitely affects them through there. It's the same as last week in Kota when you go through the air section too close to another car. Your car feels like it's going in different directions at the same time, so it is very tricky, but it's definitely dirty air is not good through there.
Most certainly not. So Khalifa still in the lead then, heading on to lap 12. We're seeing all sorts of movement in the background. Janil down the inside of Lukey. He gets the move done very late on the brakes, I think, from the pair of them there. But Janil, championship leader, up into 5th position at this moment in time as Rimpe comes into the pits after 11 laps on, or 12 laps on those medium tyres. He hasn't pitted yet, and he goes on to the soft tyres. So I'm imagining medium, soft, medium, the strategy he is going for, because it's going to be a big struggle, obviously, to stretch them softs out, as again, Janil sliding the car. That's the thing with this track. You sort of need a low downforce setup because of how many straights there are, but then obviously on traction, you've got to cope with spinning the rear tyres up, because it looks like Schofield has got a much better run than Lukey there, so Schofield are now up into 6th place. This track's definitely one of those circuits where you're more limited on the rear tyres than you are on the fronts. You don't want to overheat those rears, because once you start doing that, it's just a vicious circle, and it's probably ending up with you spinning out to the race.
Yeah, there's a lot of rear sliding, at least there was for me when I was really pushing in the latter stages, but you definitely need to look after your rear tyres. As Lukey takes that chicane nice and smoothly there, but can't quite get closer to Schofield to try and move into turn 1. But as it stands in the championship, I've just been doing some quick maths, and Janil's actually in the box seat, even though he's down in 5th. It still doesn't take him out of the lead. It is close, but at the moment he still stays in the lead, but there's a long way to go.
Yes, still a long way to go, and he nearly managed to make a move round the outside of turn 1 and then on Verheyen, and he's gone for a very late lunge down on the inside there. That'll be a fantastic move if he can pull it off. The Renault's still there, and now there's a virtual safety car. And is that our first Wall of Champions victim?
It looks like no. There's someone virtually in the pit lane, but maybe check the town, see if there's any yeah, it could well be actually, yeah. Maybe he's done a Magnussen from last year, Formula 1, he lost it on the inside, but there definitely wasn't anyone parked on the right of the map there, but he's definitely broken his wing, so I believe that is our first victim.
So Mr. Simp into the Wall of Champions, and again, his 25 points from the Monaco victory, his only points of the season. He seems to be quick, but bad luck one way or another seems to be costing him as Schofielder. That's a very early second pit stop indeed. Is this a possible 3-stop strategy here? Putting on He serves his 5-second penalty. The game lets you serve penalties under safety cars and virtual safety cars. Don't ask why. He's putting on the medium tyres. That's going to be a big task to get them towards the end of this race. Surely he's going to have to come into the pits again if he wants to have anywhere near decent pace at the end of this race. He's down into 13th, really ruining his championship ambitions at the moment. Khalifa still leading from Ollie Flavel. Now it looks now that Dainstar's free of Verheyen. He looks to have found a bit more pace all of a sudden and has got that gap back down to within 2 seconds to the McLaren.
Yeah, his pit window is also open, so we're going to see what he does on this time around. Is he going to box? Is he going to make it under? Jonas is out. Sorry for that, but Jonas is somewhere. Let's go on board with Kelvin to find out where that is. Has he... Oh, well, Kelvin can't make the corner either. Has he got damage? There you see the stricken car. Yeah, stricken car, just a little bit to the left. Sort of a similar position to Sam earlier in the race. But yeah, there's definitely chance for Khalifa to... Everyone's pitted at the front now, yeah. That's my thought from about a year ago. I'll get there at the end.
There's that much happening. I don't think we can afford to have faults at the moment. We just need to talk how it's going. Janil getting absolutely slaughtered again by the double stack and by the penalty and the Ferrari of Kian coming into the pit. So a lot of drivers have made their second pit stop, back out on the medium tyres. At the rate of current safety cars, this could probably work because we could well get another one. And we did see there Jonas, 4th retirement of the race, losing it in a very similar place to where Lawrence did. And I'm absolutely amazed that the only crash that didn't end in a safety car was where Sam was stuck slap bang on the racing line. Bit crazy. Bit different strategies at the front as well, because Schnitzel, he's gone for the hard tyres. So he's definitely hoping that we have to run all the way to the end and that this is a short safety car, because that could work. Schofielder and Verheyen seem to be swapping places, and this could be... This could cause all sorts of chaos at the moment, to say the least. It's a known bug. The less we say about it, the better. But there could be a lot of no, you go first, no, you go first, and some very polite driving between these drivers. I'm interested by Schnitzel going on the hards.
Yeah, he's not the only one to have done that, because you've got Rimpe and AJ at the back, and Kian as well on hards. J-Luke had already fitted them on because he's done one lap already. But yeah, it's definitely in the hopes that you've got, what, say, average is two laps, so that'll be lap 18 he comes in. So that's definitely doable to get to the end on the hard tyres.
Yeah, I mean, mediums, it's going to be theoretically doable. Schofielder gets a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. I imagine he'll get that removed. I'm not guaranteeing it, but it is very, very possible indeed. Khalifa leading the race. Dainstar got himself back up into second in all that pit stop period. Ollie Flavel third. Lukey somehow back up into 4th position. I'm not quite sure how that's happened, but a bit like Austria, he finds himself battling with these, as he admits, quicker drivers than him. You don't get involved in the incidents. You might just get lucky. Jimbo Manzi 5th, Schnitzel 6th, Schofield 7th, Verheyen 8th, Janil 9th position at the moment for the championship leader. And if the race finished like this at the moment, as I'll just check what the penalty situation, well, what the fastest lap situation is, and it's Mr. Simp with the fastest lap, and Janil has the fastest lap in the top 10 at the moment. If it stayed like this, him and Ollie would be tied on points.
Wow. You can't get much closer than that, and it seems to be a theme that we say every week, but this is a really tightly packed division from bottom to top. It's brilliant, and we're only not even halfway through this race yet.
Not even halfway through. 2 full safety cars, 1 virtual safety car, 4 retirements, and now the safety car is coming in this lap. As you said, this tier is guaranteed to be packed full of action. You'll get some more next week as we head to Albert Park, then Silverstone for round 9 and the Hanoi Street Circuit, where the season 16 will end in 3 weeks' time. But we've got the rest of this race to go. 18 laps remaining once they've crossed the finish line here. Hopefully 18 green flag laps, and I'm sure Khalifa is hoping that he can build a bit of an advantage. He's gone a lot earlier than Lawrence did. He wants to get a move on here. He does not fancy getting Dainstar right behind him, and you've got to say it's worked. He's stretched that gap out to half a second at the moment, and that it seems to work here. It's just caught everyone else napping, and it's stretched him out a huge lead through turn 1. So Khalifa leads, Dainstar second, Ollie Flavel in 3rd place. Don't think there were any changes of position further down the field. One man who will hoping to move up though is Janil, and I think Verheinen's just ran ever so slightly wide there coming out of turn 2. So Janil already up into 8th place. Him and Schofielder might be trying to get past Stixel as soon as possible. He's on the harder tyres. He'll have a lot less pace than them at this moment in time.
Yeah, you definitely want to get past the guys on the harder tyres, because if you don't, you will get stuck in a sort of train, and that will make you vulnerable from behind as well. But it's not all doom and gloom at the moment, as people are picking up 3-second penalties left, right and centre at the moment, as we've got Jim Mandy was purple through sector 2. Let's see if he can set the fastest lap of the race. I'm not sure if he will, but it'll be good to see anyway. But that was a monstrous restart. He's got over a second now, Khalifa. What a great restart that was.
Fantastic restart. We nearly ended up with 3 wide there towards the final chicane. Janil ahead of Schofielder. They've both got ahead of Stixel, and Verheinen not too far behind either. So Khalifa, obviously first lap, flying lap again with the fresher tyres and the lighter fuel load. Fastest lap, he's in the lead by a second. Ollie Flavel is third. Kian and AJ battling over what is the final points position at this moment in time, and the Ferrari just about gets ahead for now. Doesn't have the best exit though. Can AJ go down the inside? It's not really an overtaking point that at turn 3, and thankfully AJ does back out. Rimpe's been back into the pits and puts the soft tyres on. I wonder if they're only the tyres that he's got left, and he retires from the session, so we are down to just 13 runners. This could well end up being everyone who finishes scores a point here.
Yeah, it's not really a track you have with high rates of attrition, but it's turning into one of those races. Everyone that has crashed has found a wall and bounced them to next week, such as the impact, so they're getting a head start on us, but we're still having a classic race here.
Yeah, Kian and AJ still fighting over that final points position at the moment, and Verheinen getting very close to the back of Stixel as Khalifa picks up his first time penalty. Dainstar only 1 warning away from one. Ollie Flavel 2 warnings away. DRS will be enabled next time around. Verheinen into the wall of champions. He's able to carry on. That is going to be big front wing damage though, as Janil gets himself another time penalty. So Verheinen's going to drop to the back of the field and will have to come in. And I imagine if he's got a fresh set of mediums, put them back onto the car as he oversteers his way there on traction. J-Luke trying to get down the inside of Kelvin. He's up into 12th position after having to pit on the first flying lap. It's all kicking off once again. Verheinen very lucky to avoid retiring from this race. Khalifa, he'll just be concentrating on keeping this gap above a second, because he knows at some point, with Dainstar being so close with Ollie Flavel behind him, that they two could start battling, and that will just help him extend that gap, and these two might pick up a penalty as well.
Yeah, you always want the drivers around you to get penalties, but I'm just checking on the damage from Verheinen there. I think he broke it a few laps ago, but oh dear.
Wow. He's definitely broke it now.
He's out now. He's definitely fallen off.
And another safety car.
That'll be the limit then. That's 5, right?
Have we had two virtuals yet? Oh, Daystar's hit the safety car.
Oh dear. That's never.
He's got no damage, but that was nearly a disaster.
I'd love to see that on the damage report. He's got flipped by safety car.
He's got very slight damage on his front wing. I think he just understeered a tiny bit, and obviously wasn't expecting the safety car to come out at that point. And the safety car on this game does follow a rigid line. Bert Mailander drives where Bert Mailander wants to, and if you're in the way in your shiny Formula 1 car, that's just tough luck. So will we see any more of these drivers pit? Janel's put the soft tyres on. Depending on how long this safety car lasts, that could be a good tactic. We'll have to wait and see. I do think 15 laps is a bit of a stretch, but at least 2 of them laps will be under safety car conditions, as the safety car's now obviously slowing down because it came out just behind Khalifa and has to let the entire pack around. I imagine if any of the drivers have got a fresh set of mediums, like Stixel, they'll definitely be coming in, surely, to put those tyres on.
Yeah, you would think that people at the lower end of the top 10 or below would definitely come in and switch to those tyres, but you wouldn't want to at this stage if you're the leaders, because you're in a really good position.
Yeah, and I've just thought I'll just quickly check Taz, because I said Stixel, He started on the mediums and then changed to another set, so he hasn't got a fresh set of mediums, and I think that's the problem a lot of these drivers have in here. A lap or two later, we'd have seen everyone, I think, come in and put the soft tyres on. Now it's at the point where you might have to be a bit careful as J-Luke made a slight mistake all of a sudden because he's now in 10th position. So I think J-Luke's had a slight off under the safety car in a Haas. Where have we seen that before? I don't think Ericsson hit him this time around, so he drops to 10th place, down to 12 drivers all of a sudden. You would not expect one of the two drivers outside the points to be our championship leader.
No, you really wouldn't. Unless it's Germany 2018, where it rained and Lewis Hamilton nearly got no points in real life, but I digress. I was going to have a point there, but I've now forgotten what it was. Come back to me in a week, I'll tell you.
I think the point is we need to check for where the Netflix cameras are here, because there seems to be a bit of a jinx going on for Janelle around Montreal at the moment. And in a way you could say for Mercedes, because Khalifa was under no pressure whatsoever after that restart. He's bunched the pack up once again. This is what we said about penalties. We'll just go through what they are for the top few drivers, the top 10. So Khalifa has 3 seconds. Dainstar and Ollie Flavel have kept it clean. Lukey has 3 seconds. Jimbo Manzi's kept it clean, as has Scopefielder, as have both of the Williams drivers. Kelvin has 9 seconds. J-Luke has 10 seconds. Janil back into the pits again. Is he, what's he thinking of here? Is that another set of soft tyres, or is that just serving... I didn't see him have another penalty, so not quite sure why he's coming to the pits. He has actually put a fresh set of soft tyres on. Now he could get to the end on those, I'm fairly sure of it, and have a decent pace. This could be a last to first challenge here. This is 12th place, 12 laps to get into the lead, and maybe take a huge step towards the championship. But I wouldn't count out seeing another retirement, another few retirements, and other incidents in this race, because it's already been absolutely crazy.
It has. This is one of the craziest races that I've seen this season. We've seen a lot of stuff happen, but I'm still trying to figure out like when best to pit if you need to again. It's probably not now, but you would hope that you get a window later on in the race. But having said that, I think I remember what my point was. It's getting darker, so we could still yet see some rain at the end.
That could be very interesting. They're definitely not going to pit now because safety car's coming in this lap. Now Dainstar, Khalifa's probably got to try something differently. That trick he did earlier, I imagine it's a one-time trick. It works once. Dainstar should be wise to it now. So, third safety car restart of the race. We've seen Lawrence go through the chicane. Khalifa go so early, like ridiculously early, but it worked out. Now, when is Khalifa going to put the hammer down? Now he's gone for it just as we pass under the F1 2020 sign, and again it looks like he's got a better start than Dainstar. So Khalifa in the lead, Jimbo getting a penalty before we've even officially got to green flag. Ollie Flavel all over the back of Dainstar then, but not able to make a position, and Jimbo, I think he got caught napping slightly under the last safety car as the two Williams are battling. AJ and Snickshall 7th and 8th at the moment. Kelvin in 9th, he's not scored any points so far this season. He might try and get his first points here as Janil tries to work his way up the order, not able to get ahead of Kian. Needs to be clever about this, needs to try and keep it clean because he's got a championship to fight for, but needs to work his way up without wearing his tyres out too much. Down the inside, extra grip into 5, into 6 and 7. Thank you very much. Janil into 11th place. Ollie Flavel all over the back of Dainstar, and he's hit him. Ollie's facing the wrong way here. This is a disaster for the man second in the championship.
Yeah, it's all gone wrong very quickly. Safety car restart. Again, Khalifa's had a monster. He's 2 seconds he's now got on Dainstar. Now, unless there's been a bit of an issue for him, that's just a ridiculous restart. And that is consideration for driver of the day right there, just for the restarts alone. Well, we're not there yet as Lukey gets a 3-second penalty, and Schnitzel goes into P7 there. Giano passed someone as well in the background, I think, so now he's going to be vulnerable, Schnitzel. And yet, the soft tyres of Janel are going to propel him all the way up to the top 5 before too long. We've got 11 laps to go, and it's still getting quite overcast ahead. Is there rain on the horizon?
I mean, if there's rain on the horizon, that could absolutely change everything here. Janel's only 7 seconds behind his teammate off the lead of this race. He's passed 5 cars on that one lap. A lap ago, you've got to say it looked like Ollie Flavel's in a fantastic place to maybe take the lead in this championship. He's now in 12th position. Dainstar in second. He'll be feeling pretty good at the moment. We'll have to wait and see if there'll be any stewards inquiry. We sort of came across that crash. Well, if there was a crash on stream when it had already happened between Ollie and Dainstar. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Kian down the inside of Stixel. Those hard tyres really struggling to get back up to temperature, obviously, after the safety car. Kian, he has made 23 overtakes in this race. J-Luke's made 33 overtakes. Who said you can't pass in modern Formula 1? This has been absolutely fantastic around here. And now they've got the DRS enabled, hopefully, for the final 10 laps. Khalifa still in the lead of this race then. 1.7 seconds as Kelvin gets himself back up into the points ahead of Stixel as well.
Yeah, good to see him back at the points there, and I was expecting Janel to light up the timing screens. I didn't quite make it, but he was purple sector 2 and 3. I don't know what happened in sector 1, but he didn't go fastest overall, so that's a bit of a shock, being though he's on the soft tyres, but maybe he's going to do it this time around.
Yeah, maybe indeed, because obviously he's doing a lot of battling as well, and that's what he's got to watch out for, that while he's in all this battling, he's going to get held up, and that he doesn't burn his tyres up so much. But you can see how quickly he has caught up onto the back of AJ. He's now within half a second. Kian gets himself a 3-second time penalty. I think we're going to have to get an abacus out to work out all these penalties. Ollie Flavel, 12th place at the moment, and last, depending on how far Janel gets up this field, this could really change the outlook of the championship. You've got to say, well, Schofield is beating him at the moment, but you'd imagine Janel on the soft tyres will be able to get ahead of him. So, 9 laps to go then. AJ's now got 15 seconds of penalty. Yes, 1-5. Ollie Flavel gets his way up into 11th place. He's not out of battling for the point. Yeah, Khalifa just looking very good in the lead, and Lukey in 3rd place.
Sorry, AJ had a massive moment coming out of turn 2 there. He went kind of sideways, and Janel is past him now.
Yeah, Janel's got ahead of him, but AJ's got the inside line here. He's not giving up. He's way too late on the brakes on those hard tyres, and he's just going to have to give up now. So Janel up into 6th place again. Schofield at his next target, 2.5 seconds off the road. Let's not forget, these medium tyres, ideally, in a normal situation, you'd probably want to do 13, 14, 15 laps on them. I know there's been some safety car laps. Schofielder, by the end of this race, will have done 21 laps on those medium tyres. They are going to be a mess. The top 4 will have done 20 laps on those medium tyres. I'm not saying Janel could still win this race after being last when the safety car came back in. He's got a very good chance. He's also got a good chance of being overtaken. AJ's just gone straight into the back of him there. I'm not sure if there was a bit of lag. It didn't look like Janel moved to me. No damage. Somehow, that's the second time I think Janel's been tapped up the back there. He'll be glad there's no puncture physics with like simulation damage on this game there, because that could have ended very nastily indeed for the pair of them. As I was just saying that he might be in a position to win this race, he nearly ended up in the barriers.
Yeah, careful with the commentator's curse there, but I'm being now with simulation damage and punctures here. It's a whole world of pain. But right now he's doing quite well in P6, considering about 4 laps ago he was in P13. So, you know, you never say never in this league.
I think we might have to say never, though, for AJ getting any points. He's had a spin coming out of... He's actually quite a long way out of the straight coming out of turn 7, so not sure how he spun it all the way up there. And now we've got a virtual safety car. Is anyone... Sure, I mean, I don't think anyone is going to think about coming into the pits here, because I'm not sure... Will anyone have any... Well, the top drivers might have a fresh set of soft tyres. It's just they know they'll drop that far down the field, so... Don't know if anyone is going to risk coming into the pits here. No, they are not. That just robs Janel of a bit of time to catch these drivers up. There was a bit of a DRS train forming with Lukey, Jimbo and Schofielder, and everyone now just needs to be careful that when we go back to green flag conditions, they're not above the delta time and get themselves what would be a very silly drive-through penalty, which would drop them, would pretty much ruin their chances of getting any points. We're back underway again. AJ's retired in the pits, so we're down to 11 cars. Everyone who finishes will score a point. Looks like Khalifa's looking very good at the moment, and the only person who's probably going to challenge him is Janel if he can get through Schofield, Jimbo, Lukey, Dainstar in double quick time.
Yeah, I was just looking at the fastest laps again just to refresh my memory. Khalifa inside top 10, not that it matters, but Schnitzel outside in P11. You know, I've been there, P11 in Belgium last season, first point I ever got. It's not a bad time though, 12.6 outside the top 10, that would be great, but there's a lot of battling still to do in these 6 or 7 remaining laps.
Yes, there is indeed. Jimbo, DRS open, just closing ever so slightly to Lukey, not able to get close enough. Good news for him though is that Lukey has now dropped outside that 1 second window and didn't have the best exit through the final chicane. He's going to force Jimbo a long way around here then, coming onto lap 30, and he can't stay alongside. So Lukey stays in 3rd place. This is going to hold these guys up. This is going to allow Scopefielder and possibly Janil to catch up as well. So there's all sorts of battling going on here. Now Ollie Flavel's back into the points and he's about a second ahead, well, a second behind his teammate, as well as J-Luke picks up a penalty. Ooh, this could get costly for a few guys. Let's not forget, with 6 laps remaining, Khalifa has 3 seconds of penalties. Danestar is clean, Lukey has 6 seconds, Jimbo has 3 seconds, Scopefielder is clean, and Janil has 6 seconds. So if Danestar stays within 3 seconds of Khalifa, he could well take his 3rd victory of the season and really kickstart that championship campaign back into gear after a disappointing race last time around. And Red Bull could even get a double podium here, as Lukey's looking very vulnerable down the straight round the inside, on the racing line, ahead before the braking zone. Jimbo Manzi up into 3rd position as we see the 2 McLarens swap here. Ollie, I'm not sure if he's damaged his tyres or if he's just weaving to try and break the slipstream. He's up into 9th ahead of Kelvin.
Yeah, of course you got J-Luke in 7th there, who has 9 seconds of penalties as well, so it's not over yet for anybody, but it's still getting a little bit ever so much darker as well now. But I'm not sure rain's going to be a factor now, but it's definitely going to help your tyre temperatures by being a little bit colder.
Yeah, unless we see some biblical rain round about now, I can't imagine we would pit for the intermediate tyres. The pit stop loss would well outdo any time you'd lose for obviously struggling around on the dry tyres. So Khalifa still ahead of this race then, 1.9 seconds ahead of Danestar, who's a second ahead of his teammate. Lukey's just going to be in DRS range here this time around as Kelvin picks up another penalty. So that might be, he might have just dropped out there, just about stays within pretty much bang on a second as he went across the detection point. That's going to make it very hard for Scopefielder, and look who's starting to close up all of a sudden. It is Janil on those older soft tyres. Now he's going to find it a bit more of a struggle to catch up, B, to overtake.
Yeah, that's 2 things you need. Catching up is one thing, but overtaking is quite another.
Yeah, a very famous slogan from a very famous commentator there, and I'm sure Murray Walker would absolutely enjoy this race. Maybe he's watching. I'd like to think that. I doubt it, but I'd like to think that. And I'm going to think that for the rest of... Actually, I probably shouldn't think that for the rest of the race, because then I'm going to make all sorts of mistakes, none of which will be as charming as the Murrayisms that he used to make. Scopefielder then, still on the back of Lukey, still trying ever so hard at the moment. This wouldn't be a disaster for him at the moment, because he's kept it clean. He could bump himself up a couple of places, so... Danestar and Scopefielder, their championship ambitions definitely still alive with 3 rounds of the season to go. After this one, we'll just have to wait and see how the order pans out. Now, though, Lukey doesn't have the DRS. Don't think the AlphaTauri is going to be close enough to have a go here. You can see here, though, Lukey has run out of ERS. Is Scopefielder going to go down the inside? He's thought about it. That might have just compromised his line ever so slightly. He's got a lot more ERS, though, than the Alfa Romeo, and I don't think there's much Lukey's going to be able to do with this. He's gone defensive. Scopefielder just straight around the outside and takes that 4th position, and that has allowed Janil obviously to catch right up to the back of these as well. 3 laps to go, Khalifa leading, but it looks as though penalties might give Danestar the victory here if he avoids losing another 0.9 seconds.
Yeah, of course, if, you never know, you could just run slightly wide and that'll lose you the 0.9 seconds right there. But Janil seems to be struggling to get back onto the back of Lukey now. I think his tyres are pretty much toast. So, yeah, it was a brave call, but I think he just may have run out of laps. But having said that, he's got a much better exit out of the chicane, and Lukey goes a little bit defensive, defends the inside to make him go around the outside of the hairpin. And that is good driving there from Lukey, being defensive, but Janel, a little bit more grunt, straight line speed, will get the job done as DRS, so that should secure the top 5 for him.
Yes, definitely. We'll have to wait and see. Lukey fighting back despite not having DRS there, so Janel up into 5th position for now. His tyres are going, but I'd say everyone apart from Kian and probably Schnitzel's in the same situation with their tyres at the moment, and they're just struggling with traction to get to the end of this race. So Janil now tries to catch up to Schofield. Danestar still within 2 seconds. Jimbo catching up to the back of his teammate, but as we saw in the driver's press conference, he's just here to help his teammate, so won't go for the overtake, and Jimbo has penalties as well to deal with, so wouldn't really be worth him going for an overtake on his teammate. We know Red Bulls could crash into each other at any point when they're battling for the lead, and it will pretty much ruin any intra-team relations. Luke is still hanging on the back of Janil, you've got to say, and might just have enough to try and get back ahead of him here. Those soft tyres obviously wearing much quicker, like you said, so it looks like a Mercedes is going to win out on track, at least in Khalifa, which will give him a lot more confidence. Don't know where Janil's going to finish out on track, because he's going to be under big pressure down this straight here.
Yeah, it remains to be seen, but there's a little bit over a lap to go. Maybe that's... I don't know what's going on there, but what happened? Where did he go? I just lost sight of him for a second.
I think they made a slight bit of contact, and Janil felt they had to take to the escape road. He will have had to let Lukey back by, which technically he has done, but he's still fighting back, and this is obviously costing Janil big style because of the penalties that he's got. Any chance he's got maybe a finishing ahead of some of those ahead of him, I'm not sure if he'll drop behind anyone at this moment in time, because he's got a big gap to J. Luke, who's got quite a lot of penalties as well, as has everyone down the field, apart from Schnitzel, who's kept it clean once again and could well gain from this. And there's J. Luke getting himself another penalty. Schofield will look as though he's on a pretty good one at the moment, but out in front, as he has been pretty much all race, pretty much unchallenged, as he nearly loses it. That was nearly a fantastic commentator's curse, if I do say so myself. Khalifa nearly loses it, coming out of the hairpin, coming through turn 11 and 12. It's a great return to form then for Khalifa. He's going to cross the checkered flag first. J. Luke, I think, has made a mistake at the hairpin. Khalifa crosses the line first, but it's Danestar who takes his 3rd victory of the season. Khalifa 2nd, Jimbo is 3rd, Schofield 4th, Janil pips Lukey on penalties, and you can see how close they were. Ollie Flavel also getting ahead of Lukey as well. Kian just about beating J. Luke. Kelvin is 10th. Not sure whether Stixel moved up, but I think he was clean, so I imagine he will have done. You can see there, Kelvin will still get a point to finish in 11th, but it's 3rd victory of the season for Danestar. Really drags him back into that championship contention.
Yep, that's definitely what you needed, but it was a great race nonetheless. For Khalifa as well, he had a stormer of a race, and unfortunately just think he led up at that mistake when he'd lost. It probably cost him the race win today. But I'm sure he won't be too upset with 2nd place in the long term, but short term he might be a little bit annoyed. But that's definitely done things to the championship.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Janil is now on 117 points. I think Danestar's on 101, only 2 points behind Ollie Flavel as well, who's on 103. So it's all got very close all of a sudden in the championship. Here's the provisional finishing order. It's Danestar with 3 wins this season now from 3rd on the grid. That's really brought him right back into contention. Khalifa converted the pole to victory on track. Couldn't quite do it though because of penalties. Jimbo Manzi gets 3rd. Schofielder in 4th place. Janil nearly clinching that 4th. 4 pit stops. Still managed to move up a position from his starting grid spot. Absolutely fantastic for him. Ollie Flavel. Have to wonder what happened between him and Danestar, but Ollie ends up finishing in 6th. Still in championship hunt, obviously, with Jano not having the best race. Lukey dropping to 7th in the end. Schnitzel, he keeps it clean once again and is rewarded with 4 points. Kian finished 9th. J. Luke, final driver in the top 10. Kelvin will get a point for the fastest lap outside the top 10 because he was the only one to finish outside the top 10, with AJ, Verheyen, Rimpe, Jonas, Mr. Simp, Sam and Lawrence all retiring. So once again, Matt, I'm going to give you the unenviable task of picking your driver of the day and picking what you'd like to ask them.
Yeah, I was going to go over based on most positions, but I think I'm going to have to play safe and give it to Khalifa today for his safety car restarts. And I'd like to ask him, was it always the plan to go that early, or did you just try it and see what happened?
If it was planned, it was absolutely brilliant. That's what I've got to say. I've never seen the restarts really work so well. So that's your drive for the day. I think I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it even safer and go for one of the two drivers who managed to keep it clean. One of those was given driver of the day by the game. The other one's going to be my nomination for the driver of the day. It is the race winner, Danestar. Your third win of the season. You're right back into the championship hunt now. All of a sudden, which of the next 3 tracks do you think is going to be your best opportunity of maybe getting another victory this season and maybe taking this championship? That's for questions. You'll be able to read the answers to that on the forum. Danestar then taking the victory, only the second person to take multiple victories around this circuit. Ermi, the only other driver to do it, with 3 victories. You've got to say, when Danestar is on it, he's looked absolutely fantastic. It's just that bad race last time out by his standards in America, a couple of DNFs costing him as well. As we said though, it's really close at the top of the championship now. 16 points separating the top 3. Scopefielder, he's only 13 points behind as well. It's going to be a bit tougher for him, but he's not really out of it too much. But you'd imagine Janil, Ollie and Danestar, one of those 3 will be the champion this season.
Yeah, the season's you never really know what's going to happen, so you need to make the most of what you've got in front of you today. And some of the drivers did that today, so very well done, everybody. Great racing.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic racing. We've got a few stats here. This was just a few stats from how the different drivers have done. It's Janil's, I think, joint worst race of the season finishing rise. He finished 5th this time out, equal with Belgium. That's not bad to be a joint worst finishing positions. Ollie Flavel, he obviously finished 6th. That is his worst of the season. He'd been in the top 5 every race so far this season. Obviously, Danestar's best, joint best. Obviously, Khalifa with another good result as well. His best result of the season actually was 2nd place. It's amazing to think Khalifa hasn't won, and it's his 3rd fastest lap in a row, so he keeps picking up those bonus points for the Mercedes team. If you watched that race and thought, you know what, I want to see even more One Hub action, well, you're in luck, because there is some more for you. The Pinnacle tier is live right now with Austin and Jake taking you through the action there of what again looks like a very overcast circuit there. They're onto lap 3 out of 35, so make sure to check that one out with Lewis currently leading from Lakitu. So plenty of action there. The pair of us, though, will see you next time around at the same time for the Australian Grand Prix. Thank you once again as well to our sponsors, Next Level Racing, who provide the winner for the Going Gets Tough award, and Liam, who provides sponsorship for the trophies. And after today's race, you've got to say, it's wide open once again as to which of the drivers will be getting hold of that Drivers' Championship trophy. Will it be Janil? Will it be Ollie? Will it be Danestar? Or will we still see someone come from a bit further back? Next time around at Albert Park, we'll provide a big, big clue to that. But for myself and Matt, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Good night.